Because I remember talking to one of my siblings one time and saying, like, I guess I've always been kind of self-reflective because I'd be like, don't you go away from conversations where we have a disagreement and you kind of look at yourself and be like, well, how was I wrong in this situation? And I would do that with you too, with the situations with us. And this sibling said, no, I never do.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
You were gobsmacked. Welcome back, friends. I'm Dan.
And I'm Can.
And this is the Dan and Can Show. Coming live, previously recorded at you every Wednesday. Can, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Well, as we have...
Wow. That you really were not... I'm glad I wasn't like, I'm not doing so good.
Yeah, it's going to tie into the topic.
Okay.
And you're going to take a definite side off that interaction. So, Candy, welcome back this week. We're not going to talk about
peanut butter again, are we?
Oh, we're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. But what we're first going to talk about is something to get to know ourselves a little bit. Some of your deepest, darkest secrets. Let's think about this a little bit. Let's list off some things that you irrationally miss from the 90s or early 2000s that absolutely no one else would care about, especially our children.
Dan, I was steeped in evangelical Christianity. I don't miss any of that, but like from the culture.
From the culture, different things.
Wasn't Christianity.
Would it be rolling your jeans?
Oh, let me think. I don't miss that. No, that was stupid. Even though my brother once said he would never stop rolling his jeans. I haven't seen him roll his jeans since probably 1995. I don't know when we stopped doing it.
But what were some things that you used to do or appreciate back in the 90s with your friends?
I don't know. You go first and let me see if that I can
I'm trying to think of
that.
something too, because I didn't prepare my answer for this question. That's per usual.
I think the 90s music was really good.
It was.
But there's good music today.
I think just kind of hanging out. Because we didn't have all the entertainment devices around us now.
Yeah.
So we didn't have...
I would say like not having a phone and hanging out. Because the kids still hang out, but they're a lot of times they'll...
I mean, we're going to sound like the boomers of, you need to get outside. Back in my day, we used to play stickball until dark, and then we'd come inside.
Yeah, going out.
Yeah. But just maybe going to a park in town.
The kids sometimes do that, though.
Chill out.
Do we miss doing? We miss doing this, or we want our kids to do these things? Do we miss doing this, or are we going to go hang out at a park? We're almost 50 years old. Yeah. That is creepy.
With no kids, and no one's going to call the cops on us as we're staring out at.
We're at a playground. We're just like, even though I would go and swing, I like to swing.
Which one's your kid? I haven't decided yet.
One of these kids.
So. What else would be? I mean, I
don't miss the hairstyles. The Rachel was cute though. That hairstyle.
Yeah, well, the Friends.
Yeah.
Every season was the new haircut style that she had, so you had to release that. Would it be TV shows that actually people watched on TV instead of?
We watch shows on TV, so no.
We watch YouTube.
The kids do. We watch shows.
You watch your Sister Wives and.
Excuse me. Yes, I do. All right. That's a TV show. Oh, you mean not reality TV? You miss sitcoms like I do miss like King of Queens. I liked that. Was that in the 90s?
That was the early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Seinfeld. I always liked Seinfeld then.
That was 90s.
My dad didn't like us watching that, but Mom would let us watch it.
Miss MTV actually being music videos.
Does MTV still exist?
Yeah, but it's all programming. I think most of it is that one reaction show. It's like a YouTube show where they just react to videos.
Do you miss where you had to get were we probably still in cassette tapes at the time? We
Yeah.
had to fast forward, rewind, try to find the beginning of the song, try to record on the radio when it came on.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know if
shit,
CDs
even
came
the
out yet.
radio. Listening to music on the
I
radio.
have been listening to the radio because I've been using Reese's car sometimes, and I don't want to mess with the Bluetooth in there and mess it all up. So I just listen to the radio, and it's not bad. Then when I get back in the car and stuff, I'll be like, I'll hear a song, and when I'm getting out, and I'm like, I'm not going to hear that because it's going to be gone, and I can't just rewind it. It's over. Even though I could just pull it up on my phone, but I let myself just go back in time. Oh, song's over. I can't hear it now.
Song's over. Can't hear it now. So, yeah. Maybe there isn't a whole lot of stuff that we miss.
I mean, we still have a lot of the similar things. They're just easier access to them.
We've kind of formed and moved. We're not clinging to the past thinking it was, maybe that's the issue. There's so many people just...
They hate their lives, so there's some nostalgia. Like, if I were to see I might be like, oh, this reminds me of when I was a kid, you know.
The blatant racism on ads and commercials.
Yeah. Racism, sexism, all of that was like pretty.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not a whole lot that I don't. I guess I'll tell you what I do miss. I miss. I was going to say when Obama was president, but that was way past the 90s. I miss like just calmer politics when people were kind to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where you didn't have this huge division. A lot of this, it was there, but not like this.
Yeah.
Like Democrats, and you could be a Christian Democrat probably. And now today people are like, nope, you're not. Yeah. So it's like, there's just a lot of division.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though I didn't think you could be a Christian and a Democrat because I was taught that way, but they would still tolerate one another. Now they're different. I don't know. I miss that. I miss the feeling of peace. It doesn't mean it was peaceful. Doesn't mean that it wasn't underneath the surface.
The friendliness, being able to be authentic.
But was it authentic? That's the question. Was it authentic? Because I think one thing that has become apparent is racism and stuff, like, even though we didn't notice it because we are of the privileged group, it existed. Now, I did pick up on sexism because I'm not in the privileged group there, so I did pick that up, but all of this has come more to the surface so we can see what was in the underbelly of everything. So it really wasn't authentic. There was a lot of crap going on. Yeah. People were not really telling you who they were. It wasn't really authentic, maybe.
Yeah.
But it felt like, maybe it felt like it because we were children. We weren't adults back then.
That's true. We didn't have our eyes wide open. But that's a good segue into our topic today. Authenticity. As our podcast has been rebranded here and redirected, we're kind of doing life together, where we're just talking about different scenarios and situations. To be quite frankly, folks, basically when the ideas come up are just things that happened to me in Candy's life in the recent past, and I just bring them up and we talk about it and see how we work at it and see how things go on. And this one is just like that too. And we may not get into specifics on the exact situations, but it's a general topic that we may protect some individuals in. So this one is stemmed from a conversation we had about friends.
Okay.
And more specifically about...
Are we going to play any games?
We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
The games are inside the show.
I like games.
Oh, I got a good one for you today.
Okay.
So, but this one is about friendship and this craven, more specifically, this craven we have to make people like us. The guilt and shame we have when someone doesn't perceive to care for our authentic selves and want us to be something else. And
the temptation to be that something else to please them just so
yes,
you can get their
at all times. So you put the mask
people
back
pleasers,
on.
which is what we both have suffered. We are recovering people pleasers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are going to delve into that a little bit and maybe a little more specific than what we have in the past and kind of how we're dealing with it now. But it's something that I think has been extremely common when you think of different situations in the life that we've lived and how it's been presented to us. Religion is huge on this people-pleasing aspect because you have the Great Commission where you're called to go out and spread the gospel. So how are you going to spread the gospel if someone immediately does not like you? They're not going to listen to what you say. So you got to try to get to be something that they will appreciate.
You have to kind of become like them in some way. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're trying to make yourself the square peg fit into the round hole of this other person's characteristics and what they appreciate and love. So you're going to be something different. And just being in church in and of itself, we fit ourselves into boxes and cubbyhole ourselves to this is what they expect us to be. So I can't be my true personality. Maybe this thing I am at home and with close friends that don't go to church with me, I can't let that be seen at church or I'll be judged harshly. I'll be reprimanded, scorned, all that stuff. So I think you see a lot of it in our past where we were conditioned into this behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. I'm glad you're here to participate.
I am.
Candy is sitting here. She's tired of listening to me do clips of our podcast. She's like, I talk too much. I don't want to listen. So now she's just going to be like, yep. Let's play a game. I'll play all the games. I don't want to talk about anything. So, any thoughts? Nothing.
No, you're setting it up.
I know, but you can jump in and intercede anytime you'd like. So, but anyways, I'll continue going, I guess. So we were conditioned in it through our faith and what we had to fit into these roles. And it's just kind of been put upon us to constantly be these people we're not truly meant to be, not our authentic selves. And
it's our subconscious programming. In order to gain safety, we learned to be what people needed us or not needed, wanted us to be, maybe needed us. We learned to do that not because we're fake people. If you struggle with people pleasing, it's not because you're fake. It is a form of manipulation. People pleasing is a form of manipulation. Everybody learns tactics to manipulate. Mm-hmm. People pleasing is manipulating in order to stay safe. You are manipulating yourself to become what you think that other person wants in order to not, maybe you were punished some way for not being what they wanted, or you were left out, or in some way it caused you pain to not be what they wanted. And so you learned to become what they wanted. And I think in religion, the ultimate thing is if you don't do this, if you don't act this way, if you don't say these words or behave this way or have these beliefs, you're out. Mm-hmm. And so you comply because that keeps you in. And then you don't ask the questions and you don't push back and all the things because you've been programmed to receive pain if you do.
Yes.
Or it may not even directly have happened to you, but you watched it happen to others and you don't want it to happen to yourself.
But there truly is some pain that's involved in it too. Because when you're authentic and someone doesn't like you, that's kind of painful to see that someone doesn't like who I really am. Yeah. Especially if it's someone you want to like you, which is kind of what brought this whole conversation up tonight. That's where it probably
comes in. It's like if you have it can be a parent, like it can be a caregiver, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend or someone you want to be your friend, and you're yourself and they don't like it or they reject you in some way. Yes, there's pain in that. And instead of learning how to get comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling and still staying yourself, still staying authentic, true to you, you become a kind of a chameleon so that you don't have to feel that pain anymore because it hurts. You're right. That's why you do it.
Yeah. And yeah, it sucks, especially with close and loved ones. And that's been experiences in our life. People that should be ones that love the authentic you and should be ones that would accept the authentic you and promote that, sometimes are the ones that don't want that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that. There's individuals in your life that don't like, they want you to be something else because it benefits them.
Well, if you think of just even LGBTQ people coming out to their family, there's a big example of it. And a lot of times they get kicked out of their homes. Because people don't believe that that's really who you are. They don't believe what you're telling them, so they don't believe that when you're being authentic, that that's really authentic. They believe you're being tricked. We know some people that were just telling us this week that they know somebody who is basically saying they're transgender, because that's how I took it. Yeah. And they were like, someone is manipulating them to think that way.
Yeah.
I don't know the entire story, so I'm not going to make a decision one way or the other. But to jump to that conclusion, that's what a lot of times people do.
Yeah.
Like someone convinced you this is true. You didn't come up with this yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Or it's not really true. So A, they don't believe you, or B, they just flat out reject it.
Yeah.
Because they don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it. It does make
it goes against what they believe, or
it makes them uncomfortable.
And that's where, honestly, this is where love gets tested. Is it unconditional or is it not? And a lot of times you find out it's not really love because it's conditional.
Yeah.
And that hurts. That really hurts to find out somebody doesn't really love you. And as you go through the process, you realize they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to love because maybe they've never had it, so you become a little more compassionate. But at first, that's not the first response is just like you're hurt and maybe angry. You go through the stages of grief, and that's normal, and you should go through them.
Yep. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But first, before we really dive into it and get into the nitty-gritty, we're going to do
better be a fun one, not a lame one.
It will be a fun game. So, all right, here's our game for today. It's a game I created, and ChatGPT helped me come up with examples.
Ugh, sometimes ChatGPT doesn't do a good job.
Oh, this one's going to be good. I lost my pen. Oh, no, it's not good. There she is. Welcome back, folks. So our game today is going to be 1-star reviews. It's 1-star reviews Christian items. And it's going to be an item that got a 1-star in their review with the review attached with the comments. And you have to decide if it was a real product or if it was fake.
Okay, I like this. All right. Are you going to show me the product?
No, I'm just going to give you the review. We don't have that technology yet on our computers.
Can't you just show it on the screen? Like, hold it up?
I just have the product name and the review that was written.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead.
First product. Heaven is for Real coloring book. My kid asked if I could draw in hell instead, was a review. 1 star. Fake or real?
That's real.
You think it's real?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's real?
Because I know there was a book called Heaven is for Real and by a little kid, and I can see. So someone's in the review is saying that their kid asked if they could draw in hell.
Yeah, instead of coloring in this book.
I think that wasn't a true, authentic review, but they were trying to be funny. And I think they were just trying to give it 1 star, and I think it's funny, and I think it is a real review, though. I think it's a real thing.
It is real. Yeah. A real product. All right, product number 2.
Okay.
Armor of God pajamas. It got a 1-star review, and the reviewer left this comment. The breastplate of righteousness shouldn't have glitter.
That's true, too. That's real.
It is fake.
Fake?
Yeah.
I could see it being made.
You can see a Christian coming up here like glitter.
Glitter, no. My little boy,
My little boy doesn't wear glitter. No.
Well, he does if he's working for ICE.
Oh, this is going to be an easy one for you.
Okay.
Scripture candy. Testaments.
Oh.
I gave one to a coworker. Now HR is involved. Is the review.
It's true.
It is a real product.
Yeah,
I've remember seeing them at Maranatha.
I don't know if the review is genuine, but that's funny.
Yeah. But you remember seeing them at the Christian bookstore?
They definitely had them.
Testaments. Minty flavor.
I knew right away that it was because I was like, seen them. Yeah.
All right. God's Not Dead. The card game. Got a 1-star review. Try to play these with my atheist cousin. The youth pastor cried.
Real.
It is not real.
It's not real. Okay.
Although someone's going to start creating it.
Yeah. We could do a commentary on that movie. Neither of us have seen that movie.
Once we get the software updates, then we can.
Okay, get on that, buddy.
I'm working on it.
Are you?
Not yet, but I might have time coming up.
All right.
365 days of prayer for depression. 1-star review says, now I'm depressed and offended. So do you think a Christian would write a book to have 300?
Maybe because they would think, okay, depression's not a real thing. Like, let's just make a little thing for it so people don't need to go see a therapist or anything. I'm going to say true, real.
We're going to pray away our depression. Is a real book.
Yeah.
WWJD slap bracelets. You remember the slap bracelets?
Real.
The 1-star review. Snap my wrist and my faith at the same time.
That's a dumb review, but yes, it's real.
It is fake. They did not come.
They did too.
They didn't have the slap bracelets.
How do we know ChatGPT isn't lying to us?
The Action Bible. The review is too much action, not enough reverence.
The Action Bible we bought for one of the kids.
Too much action, not enough reverence.
And I can see that being a real review.
It is real.
Yeah. We bought the Lego Bible, and that was actually kind of fun. I liked reading that one.
Remember
it was clever.
The punishment there.
I wonder if one of the kids still has that. That would be funny.
Remember they were tormenting people in hell, and the little Lego guy was on fire?
We need to find that book.
The kids love that. They're like,
I know.
This guy's on fire.
That was like a fun one to read. Yeah.
All right.
I remember somebody saying in our family, like, not liking it, thought it was irreverent. So I think that would definitely be a review.
It was. All right. Christian pet blessing oil. My cat threw up right after I anointed her.
That's not real.
It is fake.
It could be real, though. ChatGPT could be wrong. Because I could see somebody making that. A lot of grifters in Christianity.
Right, here's another book. God's Creative Power for Healing. It's a mini book. The review didn't heal anything, including my disappointment.
Say, what's the product again?
God's Creative Power for Healing. It's a mini book.
Yeah, it's real.
It is real.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's going to hit home with you. Bible Man, the animated series. This looks like a church fever dream. Your family had the Bible Man series on tape. VHS tape.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's fake.
It's not.
They didn't make an animated series.
Oh, an animated series. But they did watch. I remember Bible Man.
Yeah.
That was so cheesy. I even thought it was like stupid.
Even I thought it was stupid.
I thought it was stupid. And I watched what was it called? Gilbert, that little orange puppet.
Oh, here's a good one. Daily Devotions for Die-Hard Fans. Alabama edition. The review is, I wanted Jesus, not football. Roll Tide.
True. Real.
It is real.
Yeah. Yeah. Die-hard fans.
Christian dinosaur stickers. Why is the raptor holding the cross?
Those are real.
fake.
No, I bet you there is something like that. ChatGPT would be lying to us. It's lying. These are real.
No, it's not.
You think nobody made you don't think anybody has made a dinosaur sticker with a little T-Rex holding the cross?
T-Rex bowing out of that. It's a
bowing at the cross, like they have the Santa Claus
it's
ones.
It's a nativity scene. Well, the one with the Santa Claus ones for I love where he's bowing down at the cross. Yeah. It looks like he's blowing.
Okay. You put like bleeps over your words there.
Nope, that's staying in. Left Behind, the kids series, book 1. Now she's terrified of clouds and won't sleep without repenting. The book did its job.
No, I would say that that's not real.
It's real. You think
they make little kid ones?
You think LaHaye doesn't want to cash in on that money?
To scare little kids?
Hell yeah. Get them ready. Fear them into believing. Ooh, this one would be a product that you should have bought it as a Christian. The Prayer Warrior Hoodie.
Yeah.
Shrank in the wash. Now I'm a prayer crop top warrior.
I hope that's real because that review is funny. Is it real?
It's fake.
Ah, dang it.
Another one for you. Inspirational Christian coffee mug. Said, "This is the day the Lord has made." Cracked on day 1.
Cracked on day 1, is that what they said? That's real.
That is real.
Yeah. And someone is just trying to mess with people in the reviews.
VeggieTales, Jonah, DVD. I expected a biblical lesson. Got to sing in asparagus with commitment issues.
That's real.
It's fake.
Nuh-uh. There is a VeggieTales Jonah. I think the review is not real, is fake. I think the actual thing, like, I'm looking up Jonah VeggieTales.
All right.
Yeah, it exists, Dan.
Well, maybe the review is fake. Jesus is my co-pilot, license plate frame. Got pulled over twice. Jesus clearly is a backseat driver.
Well, what is the product again?
Jesus is my co-pilot, license plate frame.
Oh, it's real.
Fake.
Okay, it's just the reviews that are fake. It is not the items. I promise you that those are real things.
Now that we're deep into it.
Yeah. Now we've actually figured out the game. Inspirational
rock with Bible verse. It's literally just a rock. I thought it'd be more divine. So they just painted a Bible verse on a rock and sold it for $20 probably.
Now I'm like, okay, is the review real or not? No.
It is real.
Then it's just people messing with them. It's just people messing with them. They knew it was just a regular rock.
Left Behind, the movie. The review is, watched with my mom. She cried. Not for the reasons they intended.
Not real.
It's real.
What was she crying? What was she crying about?
It was a horrible movie. Christian unicorn coloring book. Why does a unicorn have a cross for a horn? Is Jesus a wizard?
That's real.
That's fake.
They made a unicorn. I gotta type this in. I'm sorry. I have to know. A unicorn coloring Christian book.
Okay, here's one. Here's one you want to look up. Hands-on Bible for Kids. The review. Too many activities. I just wanted them to read, not make salvation slime.
True. Real.
It's real.
Yeah. Sounds like
Armor of God Pajamas Girls Edition. The Bell of Truth had glitter. Pretty sure Paul didn't wear sequins.
True.
False. Christian motivational wall decal.
I'm bored with this game now.
We're almost done.
Because now I know it's not as fun trying to decide if these things are real.
Said, I can do all things through Christ, but the sticker wouldn't stick.
That's clever. It's real.
It is real.
Yeah.
Typical Christian product fails. Faith-based monopoly. Bibleopoly.
Oh my goodness.
Game
Now the
ends.
products are so stupid.
Game ends when everyone gives away all their money. My kid cried.
Is that real? That's kind of funny. No.
It is real.
It's a real. Now I'm back to like thinking of the product real. So the whole point of the product is to give away all your money.
Yeah. You got to donate it to the church.
I don't know any Christians that's given. Well, actually, I do know some people that gave away all their money, but now they're mooching.
All right. Christian young adult romance. Love Redeemed is the title. They kissed after the altar call. That's too spicy for me.
The review is not real.
It is not real.
Because you know why I think it's not real? Because I don't think a Christian would say that's too spicy. I would think that that's too sinful. They wouldn't say spicy. Not a Christian that's going to care about the kiss.
A modern hip Christian might say it's spicy. So, anyways.
But they wouldn't care. A modern hip Christian would probably be like, they can kiss. It's fine.
Agree to disagree. So now I got to find a game where we actually have products that Christians made and we have to decide if it's real or not.
That will be, I would enjoy that. But I bet you, but then it would be hard not to find out. Because, I mean, you have to, the chances are high that Christians have thought it, because they just take whatever anybody else has made and then just put Jesus on it, put a scripture on it, put a cross on it, like the cross on the top of a unicorn.
You know, Joel Osteen probably, or Kenneth Copeland probably invented Bibleopoly, and the whole goal was to give all your money to the church.
Trying to train you young.
Who's going to help Pastor get a new jet? So, back to our topic at hand about this wanting people to like us.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make this work the simple truth of the matter is some people are just not going to like you. No matter how kind you are to them, how helpful, how whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be something that just doesn't click.
Yep.
And I think...
actually, if you are being authentic, you will have this. If you are not authentic...
Yeah.
If you have nobody if there is nobody in your life that doesn't like you or in some way doesn't prefer you, I don't think you're being authentic.
I'm going to fight back. There's going to be times where they don't like you.
Yeah.
But you are going to change and conform to figure out how they will get to like you.
Well, what I'm saying is...
if you're not being authentic.
But what I'm saying is you are not truly being authentic unless you have at least some people that don't prefer you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you're authentic, there are going to be people that do not like you. Period. Right?
Yeah.
You're going to be less stressed because you're not using the energy to mask. But there will be some people that won't like you. You're not everybody's cup of tea.
No. And
it doesn't mean they have to like hate you, but they just don't prefer you.
They don't want, you're not someone you're going to hang out. Mm-hmm. Think about all the people that...
You have people that you don't prefer.
Yeah. There's people in my life that I don't mind them. I just don't want to hang out with them.
Or there's people like that there's some people that I don't mind, but I don't want to hang out with more. You know what I'm saying? There's some people I prefer to hang out with more than others.
So basically what I just said.
I'm trying to say something else though. I mean, like some people, like you can handle a little bit of them. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And some people you can handle more of them. It doesn't mean you don't like them. It's just, you can only handle so much.
Yeah. There's something about their character that just doesn't vibe.
It clashes with yours. Yeah.
Yeah. Or a lot of times in my case, it's just, there's nothing to talk about. There's no common interest.
Yeah.
And we can just sit there in silence for a while because there's no conversational piece. There's no history between us. It's not that I hate the guy or I don't like the lady. There's just nothing there to vibe on.
Do you think that if another person is being truly authentic and you are being truly authentic, do you think you would almost always like people in their authenticity? Or is it the inauthenticity that's making us not like something?
I think you're trying to go black and white and this is gray. Because I think there's going to be some people that are going to be absolutely authentic. And that's great. I appreciate that. It's just not going to click with me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, someone that, I mean, there's people that authentically just don't want to laugh. And they're going to be very
they're more serious,
more serious, you know, and all that. So that's
so
not
they
going to
won't
work
laugh
with
at all
my
your jokes
personality.
because you'll be like,
yeah,
you don't like me.
that's not going to work with my personality. But they're being authentic in who they are. And they're like, no, I'm just
or they just don't find you funny.
Yeah, or they don't find me funny, which
is more likely what's going on.
If that's the case, then I'm not going to have any friends. But they're being authentic in who they are, so that's not going to work. But also, someone could be inauthentic, and I'm not picking up on it because the only interactions we have is something that they know fits into the box that I like, and I think, all right, they're all right.
That probably happens more often with people,
because they don't allow you to see the other parts.
They're masking around you,
Eventually, you find out.
Well, they don't know if they're safe enough around you to drop the mask.
Yeah, and I mean, think about how many times in life that's happened, where you knew someone or you thought you knew them, and you got along with them fabulously, and then all of a sudden you start hearing stuff about, well, no, that person, Betty Sue does this. It's like, that doesn't sound like the same one, or they don't like that. And it's like, well, we do that like every Friday. And she says she doesn't like that, and then you find out other truths because you run into someone that knew them and they're contradicting what your reality of the situation.
Their perspective of that person is different. And then you have to kind of,
maybe they're being inauthentic.
Or maybe the other person was lying. Who knows?
Yeah, you don't know, but you can it gives you a different perspective and it alters reality and what you know. So sometimes you find out that they're being inauthentic. I mean, we've had that happen with us where you've known someone for a very long time and then you reflect back and you're like, they were pretty inauthentic and just using me for this or that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, I always thought they were a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I look back on it, I was being used in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was being the inauthentic one, conforming and, putting stuff in, or even not inauthentic. I was constantly just being used, and my good nature was constantly being used. And I was all this stuff. So, but you didn't realize that until later. And you started seeing some extra truths come out and you're like, okay.
Yeah, because sometimes if you are in people-pleasing mode, you don't recognize sometimes when your kindness, maybe even though people-pleasing can be manipulative and stuff, but sometimes it's genuine. You genuinely want to help. I mean, like I'm the type of person that I genuinely like to help people. You're like that. We genuinely like to help people out, especially when they need it. But you're also easy to, if you don't have boundaries and you're not aware that you tend to do that, you can get used. And some people I didn't know were using me until the relationship ended. And then I look back and I'm like, oh, I was being used.
Yeah. And even that boundaries, that's a perfect example because this whole people-pleasing thing just eliminates boundaries in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to jump over any boundary you may have set to please this person and get them to like you. So it prevents you from setting up healthy boundaries of being like, I don't want to be this. This is, this isn't where I want to go, but I'm having to go here to make this person appreciate me.
Do you think, like, looking back for me, I'm thinking of a very specific relationship, but I was getting red flags in my own, like my intuition was ticking, like, this isn't really as safe as you think it is, but I was not listening to it. Do you think that is, I wonder if that's more common than we realize, like our intuition is still, our sort of nervous system is kind of saying, this person's not really not who you think. And we tend to ignore it. And I'm wondering if people pleasers tend to do that more.
I think it depends on what you've experienced in your life. So we didn't know much about narcissism.
No, we
So
didn't
we
know
didn't
anything
recognize
until
narcissistic
fairly
traits in
recently.
individuals that were in our life.
Yeah.
Once we saw and had a narcissistic blow up, then we started, people could be like, well, of course you started labeling everyone as a narcissist in your life.
And we know that most
But-
people are not narcissists. It's a rare, but when you have an encounter with a true narcissist, it's
Yeah. And we started seeing other patterns in other areas.
Yeah.
So when you learn stuff like that in life, then you can kind of reflect and be like, okay, I'm seeing this happen. All right. Then that's where that intuition comes in. Where now, when you're getting involved in something, and all of a sudden you're like, hold on. I remember this. That's a red flag. Okay, let's approach this carefully. What's going on? So I think it's kind of a learned behavior to be able to get that intuition, because there's got to be something there that.
Yeah, but we had to come out of people pleasing in order to
And that's where we were starting to come out.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before that situation happened, we were already doing the inner work, setting the boundaries. We had learned I remember being in my probably early 40s, maybe mid 40s, when someone said you can set boundaries. I was like, what? I didn't even know that was a thing that you could say no to people. Like, it blew my mind. Like, what? I didn't even, if you could do it, I just thought you would just do anything you could all the time.
But we were, we started setting boundaries and establishing, all right, this is what we're going to do. And some people fought against that and didn't understand it and didn't like it. They're like, why are you doing this? Especially family and friends. Why are you setting this? We've had individuals that were like, well, why can't I talk about this stuff? And it's like, I'm not healed enough to talk about this with you right now. I need to find myself and
I need
understand.
time to work through the grief that I'm feeling first.
And understand what I'm trying
see where I stand.
Believe here.
Yeah.
And you're trying to question it in a vulnerable spot because it can be manipulated back.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want. I want to find clear-cut answers, not you.
I don't want to go back into believing just because you're persuading me. I want to actually think for myself, and I need space to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's stuff we learned. You have some of that where we were starting to break out of it. And some of it was kind of obvious with contradictions in our life. You were dealing with people that were telling you some things. It was, let's make up an example here. All guys do this. Yeah. And then you came back and be like,
I was told,
why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about? I never do that. And you're like, well, this is what I was told. And I'm like,
I was told and if you say that you aren't doing that, you're lying, because that's what I was told. Anybody who says that, I was specifically told, if he says that he's not doing this, he's lying.
Yeah. And we had a good long conversation about that that's not simply the case, just because that's not part of my life doesn't make me less of a man. I'm still a man. It's just not part of it. And I know a lot of people that it is not a part of their life. And then you started clicking some things together then. You're like,
okay. And I also had to base it on who has developed a pattern of trust with me. Yeah. Like who do I trust? You know what I'm saying?
And then that distrust started building upon itself when you started
snowballing.
So once you started seeing it, that intuition started kicking in, and you had that little grain of, okay, I was being deceived here. And then all of a sudden now everything was kind of being perceived through that lens of, is this deception or truth? And it's like, okay, that's another deception.
This person is developing a pattern now of deceiving me or causing problems that didn't exist until this person brings them in. Yeah.
So that's the learned part of it. I think some of the biggest things we got to learn here, though, is, and this is something we had to wrestle with, and I know you've struggled with this a lot, is believing that you're broken because these people that, and this is going to be more family and friend oriented, the close relationships, because these people don't appreciate who you are, you think, what's wrong with me?
Yes, that has been,
and that's the guilt and shame from the old lifestyle coming in.
Because I was programmed to be pleasing, and if I'm not pleasing, I'm off track somewhere. right?
Mhm.
And when I'm myself and I get rejected as my authentic self, the programming is something's broken, like fix it.
Mhm.
What's broken? And if I can't find the thing, it's got to be me. That would almost always be since childhood. I cannot remember not like getting in an argument with somebody. I always thought that I was in the wrong every
Mhm.
single time. When I would walk away, like I might argue thinking I'm right.
That was
But
never the case with me and you.
when you and I would argue,
Yeah, you'd be like, I'm winning this one. You're dumb.
no,
Especially if it was scriptural.
Let me think. If it was scriptural, do we fight about that sometimes? I probably always felt like I wasn't doing it right, though. But yeah, that's an interesting thought because maybe I didn't with you. Maybe I felt enough because I remember. I don't know. Maybe that was a form of the opposite. I don't know because I remember talking to one of my siblings one time and saying like, I guess I've always been kind of self-reflective because I'd be like, don't you go away from conversations where we have a disagreement and you kind of look at yourself and be like, well, how was I wrong in this situation? And I would do that with you too, with the situations with us. And this sibling said, no, I never do.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
You were gobsmacked.
Gobsmacked. Is that real that people don't like, that's crazy, isn't it a little bit to
there's
think
some people
that don't reflect on like if they're wrong?
It's narcissistic behavior.
It is narcissistic behavior, but I like that floored me.
Yeah. I mean, and a healthy thing to do is when you're in an argument or a debate of anything else is to walk away and just weigh all things that were said.
And go like, okay, could I have handled, like now I would do it. Could I have handled that better? I could have handled it better. Do I feel like what I said was true and right? Yeah, I do. Can I see their point of view? Yeah, maybe now that the emotions are lower, I can see where they're coming from, and maybe I should have listened better, that's healthy, I think, but not, I was in the wrong and they're in the right. And I just handled that all poorly and they did all perfect. It was all my fault. That's what I used to do a lot. It's all my fault that this is happening. And instead of like, there's a problem in the relationship, we need to learn how to communicate. It was, just
so
not healthy.
And folks, this is all encompassing stuff that we've struggled with in the far past and very recently. And just dealing with this part of I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. Am I crazy?
You do the same thing when you and I,
and
I've had to like, hey, because you'll be like, think that you're the problem. I'm like, it's not you. We have a problem. We together have a problem that we need to find a solution to, not
together
you.
Having problems together. Because when there's two, it's much more fun to have a problem to deal with your hun. Bars.
Straight bars.
So, and it kind of gets tied in with you don't have to owe respect to someone just because they're blood. Respect is earned. Yeah.
That's not how that goes in the scripture. That's not how that was taught to me.
But there's plenty of examples, and I think a lot of people can associate with this too, is there's plenty of examples where blood family doesn't really respect you. They respect how you can benefit them, and that's what they want. But that may mean not being you.
Means it would be towing the line for sure. Like for a lot of people, like I had great respect when I will not lie. In my family, I was highly respected among my siblings. Was I not? Yes. And then my beliefs changed and I plummeted to the very bottom.
Yep. You were the spiritual one.
And then I dropped to, almost garbage to, a lot of them. Like, they could care less what happens to me.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. Yeah. So was that respect? It was respect because I agreed. It was respect because I did definitely live what I preached, and I still live what I preach. But because they don't agree with what I say, the respect is gone.
Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't mean So whether it's a
So it is earned.
a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad or a son or a daughter, respect is still earned. So
Mm-hmm.
they have to earn your respect just as much as you need to earn. You need to. Vice versa.
If I want their respect, to earn their respect, I'd probably have to agree with their type of right.
Mm-hmm.
And to earn my respect, do they have to agree with me? Not necessarily.
Not anymore.
No.
It used to be a lot more of, you have to agree with me. You have to be a Christian. You have to believe these certain values. You have to
But they can't be like indignant and like, you're wrong and I'm right.
No.
I don't know that I would respect that. And
Not now.
So I'm trying to think like in a way they have to kind of earn, I guess if they just treat me with dignity, I would find that respectful.
To earn your respect, they'd have to treat you with dignity, and they'd have to treat your children and your family with dignity too. So if someone's doing something that would harm or expressing views that would harm our children,
I'm not going to, have a lot of respect for that person because they're trying to take away things from, just because they don't like them, they're trying to take them away from other people.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think with Christians today, or, not all Christians, but you know what I'm saying? Like evangelicals, I'll be more specific, is the reason that they don't get a lot of respect from society is because they're saying, we want our rights, but we don't care if your rights get taken away. Instead of, we want to have our rights and we want you to have your rights to live the way that you want to. Yeah. And then I don't understand why they don't just go, and then let God just take care of the rest, whatever happens. Right?
It can't be.
Instead, they try to legislate and try to use the force of the government to demand that someone live the way they want. And that's where the respect for Christians goes right out the window. That's why they're not getting, why they think they're being persecuted. They're not respected because they don't respect others.
Yeah.
They're getting, they're getting what they're sowing. They're reaping what they're sowing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they don't want to respect other people's way of life because it's an affront to their God. And
if it's an affront to their God, let him deal with it. Yeah.
And the thing is if I'm wearing uncomfortable underwear, I'm going to change my underwear and not wear that comfortable underwear. Right?
I don't know if that's a good analogy to what you're trying to say.
But I like talking about my underwear.
Okay. I feel a little uncomfortable.
My underwear is very holy. It's blessed.
I have seen holes before in your underwear.
Disintegrates.
I usually throw them away.
It's like, I try to wear them down until it's just a waistband.
Okay. No, I would have thrown away a long ago. I see one hole and it's garbage, buddy. So I do the laundry.
Okay. But the thing is if something bothers you and you find it offensive,
move along. As long as nobody's getting hurt, like it's not your business,
Yeah.
And that's why in Christianity, just let God deal with it then. Don't go and tattle and try to get, you know what I'm saying? Like if nobody's getting hurt, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt them. It's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But they'll probably will convince themselves it will hurt people.
That's what they do. And they convince themselves it's hurting people and blah, blah, blah. So when Frank and Steve move in next door as a couple.
Can't even, that's true.
It's like.
Because they consider them to be, they've been lied to and deceived to, saying they're the problem that's hurting children, even though the ones hurting children are actually standing behind a pulpit a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Or, men of the cloth, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So, I can't handle it. It's like, why? We have people in our neighborhood that we never talk to. And it's honestly for no other reason than we just kind of keep to ourselves a lot of times and don't. But I mean, we have neighbors we talk to and we have neighbors we don't. But
I think that's
it's not
everywhere.
that we dislike them or whatever. It's just we haven't got to know each other. And that's fine. Why can't it be the same with a Christian here and a neighbor that's gay?
Yeah. We used to have a lady that lived next to us that was a huge 47 supporter and put out signs and everything, right? I didn't try to rip down her signs. I didn't try to, like, we weren't trying to be mean to her. We just, if we passed her in the, we were in our driveway and she was in her, I might wave. That would be about it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interact with her a whole lot, but I also didn't want to make her life hell.
Yep.
She tried to make ours hell sometimes, but, we just let her be. We weren't trying to, like, it was her property. She can put whatever she wants on her property. I'm glad she's moved, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there's this offense that you take is all about you. You can not have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So why not take that path? But instead you have to try to legislate it out of your life completely so that.
Well, and that's what creates people pleasers too.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to force or punish if they don't comply, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, there's even been one of these preachers that has said, we don't care if you don't become a Christian. He's kind of tying it to politics. He's like, we don't care if you don't become a Christian, but you're going to pretend.
Yeah.
And it's like, so you're going to you want us all to put masks on and pretend.
Mm-hmm.
And so our energy is zapped because we're trying to be somebody else. It's like an actor going on stage and that character, they stay in that character all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't get to come out of that character. You don't get to let them see you be you. You need to stay in that character. That takes energy from that actor, right? And they're trained. But if you're not trained in that and you're just, that's even more energy. So that's what masking is. We're just going to pretend, and Christianity demands it almost.
Yeah. I think another example would be like comedians. People think comedians are going to be always on. And then you meet a comedian out in the wild and they're just shopping for groceries.
Yeah. They just want to do their thing and not interact too much. Yeah.
It's like, well, that wasn't who I thought it was.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, that's who they really are. They're putting on a show for you when you see them on Netflix or Hulu or buy the tickets to their show. They're not that 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's not right. You need to always have this. And it's like, fuck you, dude. Get over yourself.
Well,
People have lives.
And we all kind of have some, like, when you go to work, you're not going to be as.
Here's one.
What? Go ahead.
No, you go. I'll remember it.
No, I don't. I wasn't going to go anywhere.
It's strippers.
Okay.
And the guys,
where are we going?
The guys at the strip club.
Okay.
Strippers are flirting. And they're in love with the guys because they want tips.
Yeah. And then these guys
and then
think
when the
that
guy
they
waits
love
outside the strip club and sees her come out, and she's like, "What are you doing?"
Like,
it's like, "You're in love with me. I gave you $400 tonight, and you said you loved me." Yeah, because you gave me $400 tonight.
Bye bye. I got the $400.
And then the bouncer comes out and escorts that gentleman to the car.
I mean, yeah.
It's all an act.
It's an act to get something from you.
Yeah.
And that is really what they're trying to force society into. We want this type of society, and so we will force you to act this way and take from you what we can. And we're saying, no, you're not going to do that because we're not going to get into it.
So with all this being said and just dealing with this stuff, and I think a lot of the hardest part is dealing with blood, dealing with family, because you'd think there would be the people that would, I'd said it there, them, you think those would be the people that would respect you the most and accept you for who you are and encourage you to be who you are.
You would think.
But sometimes they are the worst to deal with. And then the guilt and shame comes in because why doesn't my brother like me? Why doesn't dad like me? Why doesn't, my child like me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what have I done? What can I do differently? What can I do to make them like me? And one of the things we kind of worked out together on this was the spoon method. When you are constantly focusing on getting these people that don't like your authentic you, you are just giving over spoons all the time. And spoons are the energy that you're allotted every day.
Like you only have so many,
You only have 10 or 20 spoons of energy a day. And now all of a sudden you're spending all these spoons on
keeping the masks up, keeping the energy going that you need to pretend.
I need mom to be happy with me, and she doesn't respect me now, so I'm going to give all this stuff. And what happens for the people that do appreciate you for who you are? Now all of a sudden, there's only so many spoons left over for them. So you're focusing all this energy on not being yourself and trying to please someone that doesn't appreciate who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're neglecting the people that do appreciate who you are. And that's a tough lesson to realize. But I think once you see that clearly, you can kind of go,
well, I don't want to take that from them. They love me.
It's kind of fucked up what I'm doing here. Why am I doing it? And it's nothing against you or myself. It's just how we were trained to be. This person doesn't like you. Spend all this energy on them.
I think it's more.
You kind of inadvertently are taking advantage of the people that do like you because, they like me. So they're always going to kind of like me no matter what. They know. But I need to get these other people to like me.
Yeah. And it's also, you're wasting a lot of energy trying to get somebody to like you who doesn't like you, right? But they're also still not going to like you because you're not being authentic. So they still don't like you. And yet you have these people that take much less energy. You can just be yourself. They know that you might have a bad day and they're not going to abandon you. They're just going to be, you could have a bad month, a bad week, a bad year. And the people that love you are still going to be around. It doesn't mean you can abuse them, but I'm saying let's say you go through a bout of depression, they're going to still love you.
You affectionately call those people in your life dingleberries.
You call them that too. You call yourself my dingleberry.
I'm your little dingleberry.
Because I have struggled with this more than you, I will say.
It's just our wiring, how me and you are different in that area.
And I think that's why I sometimes wonder if it's more women are, we're just trained to be pleasing.
I think it's more, you're right there. I think women are just trained to be pleasers because that's their job in life.
Yeah.
Especially with the other aspect I think that you suffer from is evangelical background.
Yeah.
Because we weren't called for a Great Commission in Catholicism.
No.
We just kind of showed up and did our thing.
Yeah.
And my life up until that point was just kind of you do you, man.
You probably didn't even think about God that much.
No. And a lot of my life was just, be who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to know who you are. And I had to mask pretty early.
It was experimental in my life because I had to go through different.
But isn't that for that's the way it should be? You kind of figure out who you are. What do I like? What do I don't like?
Am I going to be this type of guy? Yeah. And then I'm doing this and this.
And you shape yourself. Yeah. Maybe you were a different type of guy when you were, 15 than you were when you were 25. Yeah. You do shape yourself and you do change and morph, but it needs to be what you want to do.
Pick this shape. I think it's called.
You're like dad bod? Yes, please.
No, the shape I picked is called outa.
Go ahead.
Out of shape.
That
was served up on a plate. Oh, your evangelical showing, Candy.
I was thinking of, that saying that person we used to.
What, ligma?
No, not ligma. Dicky doo.
Oh, the dicky doo.
My belly stick out more than my dicky doo.
Yeah.
Or whatever, it was something like that. And I was like, God, gross.
Got a dicky doo going on. But, so we had definitely different backgrounds. And yours was more from very young in your life, you were programmed for this type of behavior. So it's a deep-seated.
It's a defense mechanism is what it is. It's used to protect yourself.
Yeah. But you got it so deeply lodged in you from youth that it's a tough thing for you to work out, which I never had. So it's a little, and I'm sure there's plenty of times where you're like, it's easy for you to fucking say this because you're not having to deal with it. And I get that completely because it wasn't instilled in me at such a young age where it was with you. And it probably pisses you off that I can easily,
sometimes,
there's times where you're like, you don't care what these people think. I'm like, no.
It's not that it pisses me off. It almost is like how I'm learning how to do it, but it's really still uncomfortable for me. You're okay with people just not liking you. You're like, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I've had to learn had to learn some really harsh lessons in deconstruction, but I guess, some relationships shocked me when I was more authentic that I don't like this person. I don't like you anymore. That some of them floored me, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really uncomfortable, but I've gotten used to, now I'm not so, it's okay if you don't like me.
Yeah.
Have I still even recently found myself trying to please like parents that don't really respect me?
And some of it, you're starting to wrestle, do well with that, with them directly.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's what are my siblings going to think of me if I'm not?
Yeah, I still struggle with that sometimes.
I don't want to.
It bounces to somebody else that, and you're right. Like I'm still working through that, and I'm still learning how to, and if they don't, they don't. I can be okay with that, because the only other option is I stop being authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And if I stop being authentic, then I'm going to have relationships that aren't authentic. And those are draining. And I don't want those types of relationships.
Yep.
I want authentic relationships. So I have to be authentic around everybody as much as possible. And then the people that like me will stay or be drawn to me. And the people that don't will just fall away. And I need that to happen in order to live the most fulfilling life, I think.
Yep.
And that is true for all of us. And so authenticity is not only important because, hey, like I think we think it's an option, but I don't think authenticity should be an option. I think it should be something we need to strive to be. And it's easy to be authentic, but it's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
So it doesn't take a lot of energy because it's just authentic, but it does have an emotional factor that you got to learn how to, like, it will help develop your emotions, your emotional regulation and everything. You got to learn how to do that.
Yep.
And that's uncomfortable, but it's not just good for you. It's good for the collective.
Yeah.
Actually.
And one of the benefits we've found, that the more authentic we allow ourselves to be, and the less we try to win people over in our favor, there's more energy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So stuff that we're doing now, you've got 74 different businesses you're trying to pursue at the moment?
That's not true.
I'm sorry.
I have a lot of hobbies and things I like.
You have a lot of interests that you like.
I have a lot of interests, yes.
10
but
years
I have
ago,
time. I have more time to be, not just explore, but I have like more creativity. My creativity is better.
Like 10 years ago?
No.
15 years ago?
No.
And it's not because we had young kids. It's because your energy was so spent on trying to be a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because imagine when you have even when you have little kids, raising little ones is some of the hardest time of your life, anyways, because it's physically taxing, right? But as they're teenagers, it's emotionally taxing. But when they're little, it's, at least the way when I was in Christianity, it was also, most of it, I find that parents are worried about what other parents think of their parenting, or what other parents think of, like how their kids, they're busy trying to control. And I am not innocent of this, trying to control their kids' behavior because it reflects on them. So your kids are this extension of you, and so you're trying to control that extension of you because you want it to be viewed a certain way. And, I mean, in a way, that's a narcissistic behavior, it's but it's not healthy, and it's not authentic, and it takes so much energy.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, you raise your kids the way that you think is best, whatever that looks like, to be kind, to be loving to themselves, to others. And they're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things that are stupid, and then you deal with them and you teach them, and you don't, make them feel shame for it, because they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to learn. And if we would give ourselves the same amount of grace as we're learning how to figure out things, instead we want to put on this persona that we're perfect. I mean, you see it that's why people wear filters when they're doing their videos. And that's why people, make their houses look immaculate before. I mean, I've done these things, and that's one reason I won't do filters, even on videos. Sometimes I'm tempted to, and then I'm like, no, I'm just going to let it I am who I am. So that way, if someone were to run into me in real regular life, it's not a shock. That's what she looks like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to pretend to be something else. And then I also learned how to like my own face instead of, oh, I wish I could. Because a lot of times these people put these filters on and then they're like, oh, I need a nose job. I need this. I need that. I mean, it's just making us not like ourselves. And then that's what marketers want, honestly, so they can sell to us. So it's this inauthenticity goes all over the place. So
but it saves you all that energy, which allows you to free up to do extra stuff.
Yeah, to do things stuff that you like,
stuff that you want to do.
Yeah,
because you don't care about what other people may or may not think about what's going on.
Well, and
it goes back to the old energy concepts we used to have. You're going to put out a certain energy, so you're going to attract people that are like that too.
Yeah.
So you're naturally going to bring people in that are similar to you and have similar interest and all that, because that's the energy you're putting out in the world when you're authentic. And who would you rather attract to you? Someone that's more similar to you, that has similar likes and dislikes and hobbies.
Well, they don't even have to have that. Do you want to draw people that actually like you as you?
Yeah.
And they don't, even if they don't have the same, they can appreciate it from your point of view.
You're going to draw people in that will appreciate that stuff more.
They appreciate that about you. Like, I don't like watching sports like you do, but I can appreciate that about you. If I'm going to, if I need to know something, I know where to go.
Yeah.
And you can appreciate that I like more the interpersonal relationships. So you're like, if you want me to enjoy the sports, I've noticed that even our son, the youngest son, will do this because he loves to watch sports, and he will tell me stories about them to get me to pay attention, like you do. Like, well, this guy, do you know, this is what he does on his spare time or whatever. And it draws my attention, and the things that I like. So, I mean, that's what, you don't have to have all the same interests, obviously, but you need to have respect for one another and appreciate those differences. Like, I like that you know how to do this. I don't. So, so.
Anywho, it just gives you a lot more energy to do other things with.
Yeah.
So that's our show for today. So go to danacan.com, check it out. Everything that's related to us is on there. Find us there, communicate with us there, book things with Candy on the candy jar that's in there. So go to danacan.com and and you can relate to us any way you want through that. Remember to go up and give us 5 stars, because that would be a very people-pleasing thing to do, to give us them 5 stars and make us happy.
You don't have to people please us. We won't know if you don't, but we will be real appreciative if you do.
We'll respect you more as an individual.
Oh, gosh. Can you stop going against everything we say at the end? I would appreciate that.
This is why people don't like me. So give us 5 stars, and we'd appreciate that. And also, if you're on YouTube, hit that like, smash that subscribe button.
Thumbs up.
And just remember that for us, because you don't need everyone to like you.
You just need to be yourself.
A few people that love the real you.
Yeah. First, you start with loving you.
And baby, you're worth it.
Oh, my God.
Don't let me get my quotes out. You got to insert yourself. See, she's learning not to be a people pleaser.
Bye.
Bye.